Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Gavin. I am the president of the East County NAACP Youth Council, and also I am
Okay.
also here on the show, and I have some people with the NAACP with me. I want to first introduce Mr. Talon,
Hi everyone, my name is Talon Evans McQuarters, and I am the president's third vice president. Yeah, working with the NAACP.
and then next I have our adult branch president, Dr. Kimberly Payton, and the advisor and political action chair, um, Miss Frances Green. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Frances Green, and glad to be the political action chair of the NAACP. You can see there's two of the youth on tonight, and I'm very proud of them. Also, there's more youth, and if you can follow them on their Instagram page and events they're having, you can see they're making a difference in our community. And that's what youth is all about. We need to be supporting young people because they can make a change when we're off the scene.
Um, Dr. Kimberly Payton.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Kimberly Payton, the new president of the East County NAACP, looking to do a hard reset, get the community involved, and bring some resources and information, and most of all, inclusion of our community into the branch, and see how we can be supportive of our residents within our region.
So, for people that don't know about the NAACP, the NAACP is one of the oldest civil rights organizations out there, and not only we've been the longest running, but we've been like present in our communities. We've been there no matter how much history tries to whitewash our communities. We've been here, we've been making history, we've been making changes, and even in current day history, there's even people that have been in our actual programs making hit that came out of that and started making history. And like Michael Laney Jr. or Kiki Palmer and so many more out there making change. So I know one of the things that we recently done is we went to the Image Awards. So I wanted to open the floor and have our Mr. Third Vice to talk about that a little bit.
Um, yeah, I feel like as we move toward the future, as time goes on, we start to fall off a little bit, especially when we're not together, when we're not moving as a unit and when we are so distracted with what's going on in the present, then it can lead us to just forget who we are, you know, in general. Um, but when we stand together and when we remind each other why we're here and who we are and how we can improve and move forward together, it only makes us stronger.
Thank you. So what was your intake on the Image Awards?
The Image Awards, that was nice. I've never been to something like that, so it was very interesting for me. Especially since majority of my life have just been around Antioch and Antioch, going to school and stuff and then staying here. Getting to go to LA and getting to experience that was um first it was just amazing what I got to see, and then also what I heard from everyone who was on stage and who got to speak. That was it was very empowering. I don't really get to use that word very often, so that's cool. It was very empowering. Um, Hearing everyone give their take on what's happening currently and just how they want to make it better, how we can make it better. They weren't just talking about what they do to make life better, for us, but how we can all participate no matter where you're from. And then something special that was happening, they were selling books while I was there. They were selling books made by Black art authors, and that was really interesting. A lot of people took a book. Actually, I think all of the books were, given out. At least one person got one book, and that was just great to see. So, yeah, I think it was amazing what they were doing, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Thank you. Madam Advisor, what was your take on Image Awards?
It was exciting to see hundreds of young people come together, youth and college students come together and put on such an event like that. There was very few older adults there. They were all young people, and they were very positive about moving forward and making a difference um, in the communities. That was very empowering to me to see that when I move off the scene, we're not going to be lost. That inspired me to know that we're in good hands.
Awesome. So, um, for me, the Image Awards had such a big impact. Meeting our national board and meeting our some of our state representatives and people in the community, and also it's like a good way for the community and people that are on a different scale than us to come down and meet, and we're kind of just like one, and that's the way it should be. Definitely what I got from the last national convention as well. So, what encouraged you guys to run for your position or appointed?
You go first.
Um, well, I've been with the NAACP since I was about 11. Um, at that time, it was very small. And Mr. Mims, not the present Mr. Mims, way back in his family, his that Mr. Mims belonged to First Baptist Church, and he used to go around to all the black houses, and you would sign your kids up, and the adults would sign up. There wasn't many blacks here then, and my aunt signed me up as a kid, and I used to go and didn't really stay with it as a kid. I went there and kind of played and didn't really take it serious until I got around 17. And I really learned the impact from feeling some of the racial things that I experienced in school and the community. And I decided that, I couldn't leave it up to everybody else. I needed to be a part and help. And I've been with the NAACP since then. We've had quite a few presidents, and I became political chair. um, and I worked on, and I guess why I was appointed a political chair because the I worked on lots of campaigns, and I believe in holding our elected officials accountable. They come to us for their votes when it's election time, and we need to hold them accountable for the promises they make. And so, and I'm still political chair.
Awesome. Dr. Payton.
So I think that the reason why I ran for office was because I wanted to see some changes in the community and their response. So, or maybe I should say changes with our constituents and how we respond to them and the community. So there have been recent things in the news that I thought we should respond to that were affecting people of color. Um, there were issues in education, issues in housing, issues with jobs, um, even issues with higher education. There was the police scandal. There was community response and how do you heal. And so all those things prompted me to want to run for president because I wanted to see something happen, right? Um, you have to take action if you want something to happen. We can all just sit by and watch the episode of life play out, but if we don't get involved and do something about it, we can't really change the direction or change outcomes for the better. So I just wanted to be that change maker. Um, Having been inspired by uh, Francis Green, your advisor, who actually pulled me into the NAACP kicking and screaming. But I just wanted to be a positive change maker. And I'm going to be honest, like there's some people that have been involved for so long, they were like set in their ways. And it was like a deterrent. It was like, when people are there's like a saying, if you're not ready to encounter change or make change, then you're going to be stagnant. You're not going to grow. And I just
Mm.
kind of felt like that's where the NACP was. They weren't growing because they were stagnant. They weren't like in touch.
Yeah.
Um, they weren't realizing that the youth have a voice, for example, that their voice matters, that constituencies, they matter. People's problems matter. Some people look for support sometimes. You always say if you need help, ask for it. And then you have people asking and there's no response. And I just thought that wasn't appropriate. So that's where I'm at. That's why I joined to make change. And so I also have the example of my son and then Gavin. And then he was a pusher for me to make change. And then there's always friends of Gavin's like Taylin and Dre who really speak up and speak out um, about issues that are prevalent in the community. And so I listen to youth, and those are just some of the things that I was hearing and wishing that they could be heard.
Mr. Third Vice President.
Yeah. I, if I'm gonna be honest, I never really felt like I could be a part of something like this, and I'll tell you guys why. Um, Pretty much the schools that I went to and the people who surrounded me when I was younger, they didn't really make it seem like it was that big of a deal at the time. They just kind of just like, yeah, it's something serious, but we're not going to do anything about it. You know, those are the people I was surrounded by. And when I went to high school, then there were other students and um, uh, they just made me feel like I wasn't black, you know, being in the school with multicultures, everybody's saying the N word, or they're making you feel like, you know, you have to act a certain way, or, you know, and I I don't know how I acted, but that's how they make you feel. And so I didn't pay attention to a lot of stuff. But growing up and leaving high school and actually being a part of the world, going from place to place, not too far, but in the Bay Area, getting to experience how people are treated and how people act on the BART in San Francisco, just all that in general. We aren't really treated with respect, and that's something that was like a hard thing that I had to face. Even though I might feel how I feel about what things that it may have happened in high school or younger, these are these are dangers that we have to face, discrimination that we have to face, hardships that we have to face just because of the color of our skin. Like, we could just be going somewhere and someone has to feel some type of way about that. And I'm going to say last year was something really hard I had to go through. Just there was a family and they were leaving from a restaurant, and one of my friends who wasn't black, they just decided to start calling them all kinds of slants and slanders. And before that, I didn't know my friend to be that kind of person, you know? But as that car was leaving, they just start calling them all sorts of names and stuff. And the car makes a U-turn, and everyone jumps out the car, and it almost turns into an altercation, you know? And it really hurt because I felt like I was in the middle between defending someone I didn't even know, but someone I shared something with. We're both black and we get discriminated against, versus my friend who, like, I've known, I guess, who is the discriminator. And I was just like smack dab in the middle. And at that point, I think I made my decision. I didn't want to be on the discriminator side. I can't, you know, I don't even want to. But because I didn't think that I could fight for us, I ignored it for a really long time. And now I'm done just sitting around and acting like it doesn't exist, because it does exist and I want change, and I won't let us be stagnant the way that I will never be stagnant again. Thank you.
Thank you. So, first I want to shout out to um, the school board member from Antioch Unified School District, Miss D Brown. Also, I want to shout out to our new treasurer, Mr. Romero. Um, for me, for becoming a member of the NAACP, I'm gonna be honest. I was the first one to say, absolutely not, no way, not going to happen. Never in a million years am I ever going to become a member of that. I was like so against it. I was like, nope, I don't want no part of it. I don't want to be involved. Next thing you know, my sister becomes president, and then my sister puts me says I would choose my older brother to be my successor, me to be her successor to carry out that mission of the NAACP. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I didn't know what in the world I was getting into. And I've been serving the president for a minute now, and and now I at first I was like the shy kid in the corner, And now no one can get me to shut up. Now I'm just like at the city council meeting telling these racist people to sit down somewhere because we not having it. I have um got us a police oversight commission,
Mm,
and then I help push I we the and then I help the youth to push so much pressure on the school board to make this superintendent to step down. That's the work we did because she was involved in the racist mess. They was all involved in this racist mess, and we were tired of it. I was tired of it because what was happening in Antioch was not just affecting Antioch, it was affecting Pittsburgh, and it was affecting Pittsburgh youth.
yeah.
And hearing hearing the torment that was happening to both was shocking. And I didn't know that at the time during the pandemic that some of these issues that we was talking about came from Antioch that was leading into Pittsburgh. So it's not been happening recently. It's been happening for a while. And for me, I'm tired of someone that looks like me, someone that's even younger than me, facing the same, even worse issues, being afraid of being pulled over, being afraid to go to school, being afraid to go to the gas station or walk by themselves down the street, go to their grandparents' house or their aunt's house, and asking all these unnecessary questions. And I'm tired of us being mistaken to reach for our picks to comb out our hair, and we've been told that we're having a weapon or we had drugs. I'm tired of that. So I'm tired with the fake stigmas. Tired of the fakeness that's going on, and that's what we're pushing for the mission to change and make change because change does not start here, it starts with you. If you don't like it what you see, then put your name on the ballot. Put your name on the ballot. Do it yourself. Go out and run. No, ain't nobody stopping you.
Hmm. It's that stigma.
Yeah. So with that, I just wanted to congratulate you guys, and also um some what is like something that what is like a what is like a figure that sorry, I got tongue tied. What who is a figure that could be political or non-political, but who's a figure that inspires you?
Mm,
I think the first person that I really listened to uh, was the Black Panthers. And we were, people were kind of said that to be afraid of them. And they were all bad. And I remember the first time I heard Dr. King speak. It's on the radio. And his voice demanded me to listen. And I started following him and seeing what he was doing and all the things that we were going through. That definitely inspired me to do something. It's up to all of us to do something. When we kind of like when you see something, you got to do something, say something, because a lot of time one of the things that they're not teaching Black history in school like it should be taught. I think that would be very helpful to all children to know the history. and you would understand what other black and brown kids are going through. You could understand that if it was taught. And I think that's very important. And that's something that we should continue to push for.
Okay.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Your who's the figure that inspires you to make change?
I know that this is gonna sound bizarre, but the figure that inspires me to make change is God. And the reason why I say that is because for me, um, I often think about what God did. So first, I should say that my other grandparents were missionaries in Africa. Like they went over to Mombasa, Kenya, Nairobi, and they built villages back in the early 70s. They built like schools and built up villages in the rural areas. And so when right as I was coming up, like first you're a toddler, then before in between, like when you first start going to school, you start asking questions and you really start, um, doing things that you can remember. So for me, I remember people telling me where they were. And so after they came back, I was traumatized because they had hundreds and hundreds of slides of living out in the middle of nowhere. My grandmother shared stories of having like snakes in the bathroom and all this type of thing. So I related that to the Bible, right? Because I grew up in the church. So, God talks about feeding 500 and 1,000. So for me, that was my correlation because I was a kid. So I was like, wow, they were missionaries. Missionaries are like who God sent to do this work, right? They're ordained by God. And my grandparents were sent out to this rural area. So I was like, wow, they made change. And the part that stuck with me was the word change and make a difference. So the more and more I saw, like, those areas evolved, like either from pictures of people that they knew, adopted children they had there, and what was going on here. For me, I wanted to see change because for me, I lived here till like I was 7, and this was a desolate place. Like Pittsburgh and Antioch looked nothing like this in the 70s. Let me just tell you, like there was so much land everywhere. It was just really spread out. And my parents were in Oakland, and it was like, oh my God, high-rise buildings, people, like a whole bunch of Black people, like Chinese people. It was just like, wow, there's other people in the world, right? And I was like, what can we do to make change so that our society is more balanced? And here it was a perceived sense of racism that was the norm and the standard. So growing up, I just thought that's the way it's supposed to be. And every time I would go back and forth, I didn't understand the difference. Like I didn't understand Oakland was progressive. It was more liberal. They didn't have like different people separated by railroad tracks. They could go to Berkeley after dark. We could go to the movies in the nighttime. Those things, as a kid growing up, it didn't register that way. It was like two different worlds. And so for me, I wanted to make change because I wanted to know why we couldn't be in Antioch after dark. I wanted to know why we didn't go certain places at certain times. Why we still behave certain ways around certain people. So I wanted to make change because I thought everybody should be the same. Me being naive, being raised by Francis and my late grandfather, from his attitude, you could go anywhere. You could do anything. And I was like, but why aren't we then? And so not knowing it was because he was my pistol packing grandfather, right? Because he had a permit to carry. So for him, he could go anywhere. But I was a kid. I didn't know any better. So the more I grew up, the more I wanted to see change. And then I found myself in situations trying to live what was taught by this grandparents, but being over there in a different world and trying to figure out why they didn't balance out.
Mm.
And so God was that balance for me. God was like the person that said that voice. So I found myself flocking to Bible study because I was trying to tie my life together from a kid. I was trying to make 1 and 1 = 2. And that was my common denominator. So if I had to pick a source or a person that led me to this, I would have to say it would be God, because he was the one common denominating factor that was equal, true, a safe space. He was all that for me. So sorry, bet you guys didn't expect that answer, but
Okay, Mr. Third Vice.
Um, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the president, Kimberly. All right. God was mine, and that's actually how I found you guys. In a way, yeah. My church, they always spoke about, or yeah, they always speak about helping whenever you can, however you can, not being not being swindled out of all that you have, but doing what you can to support those around you, you know. And when you guys asked me to help in the storage, that I was like, yeah. And that was the start. And then you asked me to become a member. And that was another start. And it just like kept going from there. So um yeah, I if I have to give my credits anywhere, it would have to be God because, I wouldn't know where to go. You know what I'm saying? I would just like be like facing one way, like, should I? Should I not? Yeah, that's my answer.
For me, other than God, I would have to say it would have been Malcolm X or Huey P. Newton. The reason why I say that is because um, I've always considered myself a peaceful person growing up. Always took turn the other cheek, followed the Martin Luther King approach. But if you had a grandmother like I did, that passed away, her name was Dolores Green. Um, I told her I was being bullied one day by this kid, and she pulled out two things. She pulled out a knife from the kitchen, and she also pulled out a wrench. And she said one or two things. Oh, and then she pulled out the belt,
Okay.
and she said you could take the wrench, the belt, or the knife, and you better put this in your backpack and defend yourself. If not, this belt is going to be behind you. So from that, because I didn't want to get in trouble, I did what I could, which was self-defense. I almost got suspended for I went a little overboard. And um years later, and I wouldn't sell out my grandmother because I didn't want to get in trouble. So years later, my mom asked me, and I told her the full story because I knew my great grandmother and my mom would have had a cow in my neck if they knew the full reason, and my grandmother. But it taught me a lot about myself, about self defense. And I do not promote violence, but I do believe defending yourself and not letting people walk over you. And self-defense doesn't have to be actual physical. Self-defense can be saying, I'm telling you to stop. I've warned you to stop. I'm gonna ask you one more time to stop. That I'm gonna make you stop. And it is so important to know that as a youth and as a young person, especially if you're African American and person of color, because if you don't, you fall in this stigma that they can get away with, and then they want to put this villain on you. But once you let them know that they can't walk over you, they're going to leave you alone. But you have to put your foot down and say enough is enough. So that's my reason of, if not, it'd probably be her. But yeah. So what are some um what are some true narratives that about the NAACP that you guys know about? And what are like some of the false narratives that you hear?
I can say that some of the false narratives, especially in this area, is that the NAACP is just known for giving big dinner parties, collecting money, and not doing anything. Um, I Another reason why I ran was to stop that narrative because the NAACP actually was and has been doing work in the community for a long time. People like Mr. Mims, the late Mr. Mims, Pastor Glasper, Francis, the late Darnell Turner, um, Mr. Wilfred Scott. They've been working in this community a long time, fighting the fight, fighting the civil rights fight, and standing up for injustice. And just because they're not boisterous or putting it on channel 2 doesn't mean the work hasn't been getting done. And I think when you're new to this community, if you don't know the resources, sometimes you don't know who those people are. And that's unfortunate. And I would hope now that just like the Youth Council has started to show people what the NAACP is for, I really hope that the adult branch follows through to demonstrate it so that they're actually walking the walk that they've been talking a long time. I think with anything, you have good and bad in all people, in all races, in all things. We're all not perfect, but I think barring those things, I think for the greater good of the organization, I think the NAACP stands for truth. It stands for justice. It stands for equality. It stands for camaraderie. It stands for inclusion, despite what the person in the White House is saying. I think it stands for right, Romero, intergenerational collaboration. It stands for all those things that are positive. And I think that we all embody those things. We may not all show it at one time, but we all embody those things. And I think that it's a tall job. I heard Gavin asking people why they joined, but some of the things I think we all left out is that it's work. The NAACP is not a cakewalk. It's made up of volunteers who volunteer to fight the civil rights fight and stand up for the greater good. And it doesn't stop. It's not that you get to say, okay, I went home at 8 o'clock and I can go to bed and turn it off. It doesn't work that way. I wish that it did. I can't think of the times that Gavin got messages in the nighttime. When I was younger, I watched my grandmother get message in the nighttime. She would say, okay, I'm going home, I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna go to bed. And then as soon as she would sit down, the phone would ring. And it's it's hard work that has to come from the heart. It has to be true, because if it's not, it's going to show. And you have to be committed to the cause. And if you're an officer, you have to be more than committed to the cause, because there's all the bureaucracy and politicking that goes with it. But if I can say and give advice to young people, the best place to learn politics, my grand the youth advisor is laughing right now, but the best place to learn politics is the church, particularly the Baptist and the Holiness Church. If you want a crash course in politics, join and be a member of one of those two, and you will get it. Because that's where a lot of us learned it. It was there. Because as African Americans, we go there first for refuge. As people of color, not just African Americans, they go there for answers, for solutions. Even though the Catholic Church functions a little bit differently than the Baptist and the Holiness Church, is still a political set to that as well. And to be leaders in those organizations is not for the weak at heart. It is for the strong and the committed. Because just like you have good days, you have awesome days, there's those bad days that are going to come. There's those days when you're going to say, why am I doing this? What was I thinking? What have I got myself into? Um, and you just have to take it in stride. So I think if I had to give advice to the young people, I would say keep up the good fight, but just know that some days when it seems like it wasn't worth it, it's all worth it in the end, because you never know who's looking up to you, who's looking to you to fill your shoes, and so forth. And for me,
What
I'm
you
looking,
do to help somebody else.
yeah, and I'm looking at the youth to see what they're going to do to bring somebody else along the way to fill our shoes. So
Taylor.
Me personally, I haven't heard anything towards the NAACP. Anything bad, I'll say. Especially because I think it's a little bit early for me. I'm sure later, like Dr. Payton said, there's going to be some crazy things going around. But yeah, yeah. As of right now, it's been a pretty smooth walk, especially since I'm the type of person I don't know. I don't get too involved with the personalities, just the general of what's going on, you know. I how where's the solution? How can we move forward from here? I don't get stuck too much on one thing. I like to keep it moving. I like to continue the story. But yeah, yeah, I haven't heard too much about the NAACP. So
Okay. Miss Mr. Romero, if you want to hop on, you can, um, and join in the conversation. Madam Advisor.
Well, I think one thing that keeps me grounded, I try to listen to the people,
mm,
and I try to stay on the ground with the people. Any way I can help them, I try and do that. Because you can't get too involved in personalities, and that you got to keep your eyes on the work and what needs to be done. And I think if you do that, it'll keep your soul kind of comfortable. Because when you see that you're helping someone, and you're making a difference, that give me support and courage to keep going.
Mhm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. For me, um, we for the NAACP youth, we had like a lot of stigmas and a lot of like um we had like a lot of like backlash when we first started out. And I remember I got accused. I'm gonna talk about me in particular. I got accused of um that I was telling youth not to vote, or um the youth council was fake, um all the members were fake, or I brainwashed all the youth, or just crazy nonsense that has happened. And I'm here doing the work, and if people want to complain, they're going to complain. But that's what they're going to do. I'm gonna let Mr. Frank introduce himself.
Hey y'all. This is Chris Franklin here, part of East County Voices. Just I couldn't get in the beginning, so I wanted to jump in when I could and just listen in. And if there's a community announcement thing at the end, I would make a community announcement. But good to see you all. So yeah, I was just jumping on when I can. How y'all doing?
Hi, how are you?
Yep,
Good to
I'm
see
good.
you.
I'm good. Yeah. So let me know. I can make community announcements when it's time. But I just want to jump in as part of the crew and keep an eye on you all. No, I'm kidding.
For people that don't know, Frank, Frank is one of the many advocates out here, and if anyone that keeps up good trouble, it's that guy. He just if he be quiet, then then he's probably thinking. And then when it comes to the city council meeting, oh boy to watch out, because he he's one of the advocates, and we really thank him for all the work that he's done and all the work he's continued doing, especially as media and East County Voices, and we thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be a part of the team, and I appreciate working with all these folks here.
Um, so I wanted to also ask, what does some of y'all positions entail? Like, can you guys elaborate more of your guys' positions in the NAACP?
Well, I'm going to be quick because I want Francis and Taylor to go so I can hear the announcements from Frank because they're always really good. But so as the president, I'm a member of all the committees. The president steers the executive committee and the branch. Um, the president is involved in the face of the organization and the community when others can't be. They're the spokesperson for the adult branch. The president, there's a lot of internal things that the president does too, but they should be always looking for ways to show change and bring change and be a positive asset to the community and show the branch in a good light. I would bore you if I said the internal pieces that go with it, but there's a lot to that too. For me, I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always in training, not just the trainings that they set up, but I'm the nerd one that goes to everybody's training. So I might go to the treasurer's training, the secretary's training, the political action chair training. I'm going to all the trainings just so I can stay in the know, and be relevant and be purposeful. And that's the main. If I could sum up the president's role, it would be to be purposeful and on purposeful, determined, and the voice of change and reason no matter what in the community. So I would sum up my role as that. And with that, I'm going to pass it to, I guess, the advisor.
Well, one of the things that positive things about the NAACP, when you're doing the work out there, you meet lots of people of all colors, races, religion. And in my lifetime, I've met people in all of those segments that has been really helpful and has helped us do some of the work that has happened in the NAACP, even in the community. So you just gotta, you'll know those people when you meet them. And I think that's what's good about working in the community. I'm not necessarily a person that believes in titles and you have to be a certain title to get this done. That's not necessarily has been my experience. Um, I think if you do the right thing and do help people, I think you don't need a title to do that. You just need support and help in the community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Gavin, you're on mute.
I'm
There
sorry,
you
I
go.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Mr. Third Vice, you can go ahead, and if anyone wants to ask questions, please feel free to shoot your questions in the chat.
Right. Well, I act as well, I am third vice, and I would say I act as a support for the president and also the NAACP Youth Council. Um, I went to training today. This was actually the very first one, but so far I'm starting to understand that my information can definitely boost the president. Whatever he doesn't have, I have. And if we go to events or anything like that, I stand by him, or them, and we just support each other. We give each other we exchange information, and in that way we're always prepared, I think, for whatever comes our way. Especially if we're in our separate chairs, then we'll have different information, different like parts of information that we could all exchange and help with different areas of life. We can't all well, I mean, I guess we can't all have it all, but to make it easier, we split up into a team. And the vice president, we are like the backbone, and me specifically, I'm like the third backbone. So um, yeah. Hopefully, I can play a very well supporting role and learn as much information as I can. So if that time arises when I need to be that support or give that information, I can do that.
Awesome. So for me as the youth council president, it's the same similar role like what the dope branch president does, but I'm on a youth level. If that makes sense. The youth and adults are two different entities, and the president's role is really as like sometimes we're like the anchor of the ship, and sometimes we gotta be the captain of the ship. Or sometimes we gotta be both. We gotta be the anchor, and we gotta be the sail. We gotta be the captain. Sometimes we're just a little bit of everywhere. And just like a ship needs maintenance, like a car needs maintenance, your house needs maintenance. And usually the executive committee helps you with that maintenance. And the president is really the one that is really gets their hands in the mud and does a lot of background on people work that people don't see. But so does the secretary, and so does the treasurer, the most. Um, yeah. So, I know we're fixing to close out because this is almost the end of our segment. But does anyone have um does anyone have any announcements?
Is this my time, or I was gonna wait for you all?
Well, I was going to do the announcements and then everyone close out with a closing segment.
All right, I'll do my announcements. Hey, it's Franklin back again. Exciting to hear you all talk about the NAACP and the work that you all do. And congratulations to the folks getting sworn in lately. I came on to be a part of the community announcements to let you all know tomorrow's May Day, May 1st, International Workers' Day. And in the United States, it's mainly been transformed into Labor Day, which turned into a 3-day party weekend. But International Workers' Day was a day that workers fought for labor rights, for healthcare, immigrant rights. And that continues, although not supported by the government with an official holiday. People do take to the streets. There'll be action in Oakland tomorrow. I think it's at 3 p.m. at the Fruitvale BART station. Again, 3 p.m. Fruitvale BART. And I'm going to be working the action in San Francisco. That's 4 p.m. Let's see. At the San Francisco Civic Center right there in front of City Hall at 4 p.m. And if you can't make it out there, my job will be to broadcast live the San Francisco action on the radio. So you could tune in on your car radio at 94.1 FM, which is KPFA radio, or kpfa.org. And we're going to broadcast from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. the San Francisco action, interviews with immigration rights folks, international workers, the unions, all sorts of folks, because we're a huge coalition. And that will be again 3 to 6 p.m. on KPFA and kpfa.org. And you can find out information online at Indy Bay. Just search Mayday, or you could also go to I found both of them on Indy Bay. So just search Indy Bay International Workers' Day or Mayday actions, and you can find one in your area. But the main ones out here are Oakland and San Francisco. Come on out. Come on out.
He wants you to come too. I have a quick announcement. I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but on Saturday, I believe it starts at 11, is the STEM event of the year. If you have young children or children from, I don't know, elementary to middle school, maybe some high school too, come out and join the STEM event. It's going to be at the park right across the street from Walmart in Antioch, California. It is called a hands-on STEM community event in living color. There's going to be music, there'll be food vendors, DJs, plenty of STEM activities, math, science. Last year they also had pony rides. And I just remember the name of the park. It's Williamson Ranch Park. It actually, begins at 11, from 11 to 4. And you do not want to miss it. It's completely free. What better way to spend the Saturday with your young person, but in the park, doing STEM activities. They will remember it, they will enjoy it, you will enjoy it. So I hope everybody can come out. Um, and it's put on by several organizations. New Generation Equity, which is led by Dr. Jag from the Antioch School Board, um, STEM and Living Color. Some of the spot NAMI's a sponsor, and then STEM. I think STEM is real. Is one of the other sponsors. So please come out, and we hope to see people there.
Um, I just wanted to make a quick few notes. I sent a link in the chat. One of them is um the day of the Capitol, which is also known as Lobby Day, and I encourage the community to go register for that. Mainly because we're going to Sacramento and pushing the bills that we want to see in action. Youth that want to attend, they'll get credit for school. I believe without the bus, it's I want to say $8. But I do encourage everyone in the community to join us for Lobby Day and the day of also the day of the Capitol, because it's a really good learning experience. You get to meet your legislators, you get to network with people, and there's food, there's learning new things, and it is an amazing event. Also, I put links into join the NAACP. So if you click the NAACP link and join and become a member, you can. And um and then there's also the state conference, the California Hawaii State Conference, and it's in Hawaii this year. I put that in the chat as well, so keep yourself updated. It's going to be in October in Hawaii, so we'll be happy. And the national convention is going to be in July, the 8th through the 9th through the 16th in Charlotte. So we love to have you, and we'll love to be there for. We love to be there. Um, we love you guys to be there. We love to see y'all faces and come out and see these trainings that are happening, because they're not just for the NAACP members that are being trained. It's for the communities as well that are being affected by racism. So, um, I will let everyone have like a closing segment if they want to have a closing something they want to say, and then we'll wrap it up after.
One thing I wanted to know if we should mention the praise and worship competition. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that would be a good one. I was looking for the information earlier.
Um, yes, it is June 21st. It's our Juneteenth choir and praise competition. Um, I forgot where the link is, but I'll put the link. I'll
Yeah,
have Carlos put the link in the chat after. But our general entry fee for tickets is 15. I believe sponsorships is 20 or 25. Um, I think, or did we? I forgot the
and then
original.
general. Oh no, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And
and then
then general seating 10.
yeah, and teams that want to enter. So if you're a praise dance team or a praise dance dancer, a choir team, or if you just want to sing a song, please come and pay the $10 fee and join and be a part of it. We're being community. We're being love. We're
And they
enjoying.
prize.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um. So does anyone want to have a wrap up the
Franklin here. I'll just say, hopefully, I'll see some of y'all at May Day, either Oakland or San Francisco. Get online, Google May Day events, and you'll find out where to be, when to be tomorrow. Celebrate International Workers' Day and fight for workers' rights, immigrant rights, and forget Labor Day, the 3-day drinking party weekend. We want to fight for our rights, and that happens tomorrow on International Workers' Day.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
And I
night.
thank you for having me.
For joining.